Alexander Chen stood at the altar, his hand trembling as he reached for the ring. Victoria Sterling smiled at him, perfect and polished, but her eyes were empty. The cathedral was packed with Manhattan's elite, cameras flashing, his mother beaming with satisfaction. This was it, the moment that would seal the merger, secure his family's empire, and lock him into a life he didn't want. His fingers touched the velvet box, and suddenly he saw her face. Emma, the woman he was never supposed to meet, never supposed to love, never supposed to choose. He dropped the ring. 6 months earlier, Alexander's life had been exactly what everyone expected. At 32, he ran Chen Technologies with ruthless efficiency, attended the right galas, dated the right women briefly before discarding them, and never let anyone see past his perfectly constructed armor. His penthouse overlooked Central Park. His cars were imported, his suits custom-made. He had everything except a reason to smile. The Sterling merger is critical, his mother said during their weekly dinner at Le Bernardin. Margaret Chen didn't ask, she commanded. Victoria is perfect for you. Her father controls half the semiconductor market in Asia. This marriage will make us unstoppable. Alexander cut his steak with precision. You mean it will make you unstoppable. Don't be difficult. You're 32. It's time you settle down, and Victoria understands our world. The engagement will be announced next month. She dabbed her lips with her napkin. I've already spoken to her father. They're amenable. Amenable. As if he were a business acquisition. Alexander wanted to argue, but what was the point? He'd given up on finding real connection years ago, after Sarah had sold their private photos to tabloids for $500,000. Love was just another transaction in his world, and at least this one came with strategic benefits. He met Victoria the following week at the plaza. She was beautiful in the way magazine covers demanded. Symmetrical features, designer clothes, practiced charm. They shook hands like executives closing a deal. I suppose we should discuss terms, Victoria said, sipping her champagne. I'll need my own accounts, separate residences during the week, and discretion regarding my private life. Agreed. I'll need the same. She smiled without warmth. Then I think we'll get along perfectly. My father expects the announcement by September. Alexander nodded. This was fine. This was easier than hoping for something real. They scheduled their next meeting for 2 weeks out and parted ways like strangers, which is exactly what they were. 3 days later, Alexander's Tesla broke down on a street in Queens. Not a mechanical failure. The battery management system glitched, something that shouldn't have happened in a car that cost more than most people's houses. His driver had the day off, and Alexander had been restless, driving aimlessly, trying to outrun thoughts of his impending engagement. He called for a tow, but the wait time was 2 hours. The street was lined with small shops, laundromats, bodegas, places Alexander never had reason to visit. He walked, loosening his tie against the summer heat, until he saw a painted sign, Hope Community Center. Inside, chaos greeted him. 20 kids aged 6 to 16 filled a converted warehouse space, some painting murals, others playing basketball on a court with faded lines, a few huddled around laptops, and in the center of it all was Emma Rodriguez. She wore paint-stained jeans and an NYU sweatshirt, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun, and she was currently mediating a dispute between 2 boys over a basketball. Miguel, you've had the ball for 20 minutes. Share or lose privileges, she said firmly but kindly. And Carlos, asking nicely works better than shoving. Now apologize to each other. The boys grumbled but complied. Emma turned and nearly collided with Alexander. Oh, sorry, can I help you? She looked him up and down, the Armani suit, the Rolex, the obvious discomfort. You look lost. My car broke down, I was just, he gestured vaguely, waiting. Well, you can wait here if you want. It's hot out there. She extended her hand. I'm Emma. Alex? He shook her hand, and something unexpected happened. She smiled at him, not the calculated smile of someone who knew his net worth, but genuine warmth, the kind he hadn't seen in years. Make yourself comfortable, Alex. Fair warning, it gets loud. She turned back to her kids, clapping her hands. All right, art group, let's clean up. Basketball crew, 10 more minutes. Alexander found himself sitting on a worn couch, watching Emma work. She knew every kid's name, asked about their homework, praised their artwork, refereed their games. She moved with purpose and joy, and when she laughed at something one of the kids said, it lit up her entire face. A little girl approached him shyly. Are you Emma's friend? I just met her. She's the best. She helped my mom find a job. The girl held up a drawing. Do you like my picture? Alexander looked at the crayon rendering of what might have been a rainbow unicorn. It's very colorful. The girl beamed and ran off. Emma appeared with 2 bottles of water, handing him one. Thanks for being nice to Sophia. Her family's been struggling. She sat beside him. So, what do you do, Alex? He hesitated. Usually, the moment people learned he was Alexander Chen, everything changed. I work in tech. You? Social worker by day, run this place by night and weekends. These kids don't have a lot of options in this neighborhood. We're trying to change that. Her eyes sparkled with passion. It's not fancy, but it matters. His phone buzzed. The tow truck. Alexander stood reluctantly. I should go. Stop by again if you want, Emma said casually. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday evening, weekends too. We can always use volunteers. He meant to say no. He meant to leave and never return. Instead, he found himself saying, maybe I will. The next Thursday, Alexander arrived at Hope Community Center in jeans and a plain t-shirt, feeling like an imposter. Emma's face lit up when she saw him. You came back. Perfect timing. We need someone to help with the computer coding class. You said you work in tech, right? He ended up teaching basic programming to a group of eager teenagers, and for 2 hours, he forgot about mergers and expectations and loveless engagements. He was just Alex, helping kids who looked at him with respect he'd actually earned. You're good with them, Emma said as they cleaned up afterward. Natural teacher. I'm really not. I usually terrify people. She laughed. Well, you don't terrify me. Hungry? There's a taco truck around the corner that's amazing. They ate street tacos sitting on a bench, and Emma told him about growing up in the Bronx, losing her parents in a car accident when she was 19, putting herself through social work school. She spoke about her dreams of expanding the center, creating programs that could actually change trajectories for these kids. What about you? She asked. What's your story, mysterious Alex? He told her a version of the truth about pressure and expectations and feeling trapped in a life that looked perfect from the outside but felt hollow. He didn't mention the billions or the impending arranged marriage. For the first time in years, someone was listening to him, not his bank account. You know what I think? Emma said, balling up her napkin. I think you're scared of wanting something real. It's easier to hide behind whatever walls you've built than risk getting hurt. That's pretty insightful for someone who just met me. I'm good at reading people. It's my superpower. She smiled. Also, you get this look in your eyes when you talk about your life, like you're describing someone else's existence. Alexander felt something crack inside his chest, and before he could stop himself, he said, Have dinner with me. A real dinner. Is this not a real dinner? She gestured at their taco wrappers. You know what I mean. Emma studied him for a long moment. Okay, Alex, but somewhere normal. I'm not a fancy restaurant kind of girl. They started meeting twice a week, then 3 times, then almost daily. Alexander told his assistant to clear his evenings. He made excuses to his mother. He pushed back meetings with Victoria. All he wanted was more time with Emma, who made him laugh, challenged his assumptions, and saw him as just a man, not a dynasty. They went to Yankees games in the cheap seats. She taught him to salsa dance at a community festival. He helped her write a grant proposal for the center, and slowly, terrifyingly, Alexander fell in love. 2 months in, sitting on the roof of her apartment building watching the sunset, Emma turned to him. I need to tell you something. I'm falling for you, Alex. And that scares me because I still feel like I don't really know you. You're so guarded sometimes. Alexander's heart hammered. This was the moment. Tell her the truth. Tell her everything. But his phone buzzed. His mother. Engagement announcement scheduled for Friday. Press release ready. Don't be late. I'm falling for you too, he said, pocketing his phone. He'd tell her. Soon. Just not yet. Friday arrived like an execution date. Alexander stood in his office, staring at the press release. His PR team was waiting. His mother was waiting. Victoria was waiting. And across town, Emma was teaching kids at the center, completely unaware that her boyfriend was about to announce his engagement to another woman. He couldn't do it. He called his mother. I'm not marrying Victoria. The silence was glacial. Excuse me? I can't. I won't. Find another way to secure the merger. Alexander Chen, you will not destroy everything I've built because of some midlife crisis. The announcement goes out in 1 hour. Be here or I will consider you in breach of your fiduciary duty to this family and this company. Then I'm in breach. He hung up. His hands were shaking. He just walked away from billions, from his family, from everything. And it felt like the first free breath he'd taken in years. But he'd waited too long. The announcement went out without his consent. His mother had the authority, and she'd used it. Chen Technologies and Sterling Industries announced historic merger, sealed by engagement of heirs. Alexander saw it on his phone simultaneously with a call from an unknown number. Is this a joke? Emma's voice was shaking. Tell me this is a joke, Alexander, because I just saw your face on the news. Alexander Chen, billionaire, engaged. His blood turned to ice. Emma, let me explain. You lied to me about everything. Your name, your life. Was any of it real? My feelings were real, are real. Emma, please. I trusted you. I told you things I haven't told anyone. And you were just, what? Slumming it before you married some heiress? Did you laugh about me with your rich friends? No, God, no. Emma, I love you. Don't. Don't you dare say that. Her voice cracked. We're done. Lose my number. Lose my address. Stay out of my life. She hung up. Alexander immediately drove to the center, but Emma wouldn't see him. She had one of the teenagers tell him to leave or she'd call the police. He tried calling, blocked. Texting, blocked. He sent flowers, returned. Letters, unopened. For 3 weeks, Alexander descended into a darkness he'd never known. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think about anything except Emma's face when she'd learned the truth. He moved through his days like a ghost, ignoring Victoria's calls, his mother's ultimatums, the board's concerns. Victoria finally cornered him at his office. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I'm not marrying you. I know. She sat across from him, elegant and composed. I'm in love with someone too. My father's campaign manager. We've been together for 3 years, hiding it because it's not appropriate. She laughed bitterly. I've been exactly where you are, and I need to tell you something. I saw you with her. That woman from Queens. 2 months ago, I had you followed because I wanted to know who I was really marrying. Alexander's head snapped up. You what? I saw the way you looked at her, like she was oxygen, like she was the only real thing in your entire manufactured life. Victoria leaned forward, and I thought, why are we doing this? Why are we letting them control us? Because they have all the power. Only if we give it to them. Victoria stood. I'm calling off the engagement publicly. I'm going to say we realized we weren't compatible. It'll embarrass our families, but they'll survive. And you'll be free. Victoria, don't thank me. Just fight for her, because if you don't, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Trust me. The news broke the next day. Sterling Chen engagement called off. Harris cites fundamental incompatibility. Alexander's phone exploded with calls from his mother, lawyers, board members. He ignored them all and drove to Queens. The Hope Community Center was locked, lights off. A notice on the door read, closed due to building foreclosure. His heart stopped. He called Emma's number, still blocked. He asked around the neighborhood until someone told him she was trying to raise money to save the center, but the landlord wanted 3 months back rent plus 6 months advance, $30,000 she didn't have. Alexander could write a check for that amount without blinking. But Emma would never accept it, not from him, not now. He needed a different approach. He spent the next week liquidating personal assets, watches, cars, art, not family money. His money, things he'd earned and bought himself. He raised $50,000, bought the building outright, and had the deed transferred to a trust for the community center. Then he showed up on Saturday morning when he knew Emma would be there trying to pack up supplies. She saw him through the window, and her expression turned to ice. But she opened the door. You have 60 seconds before I call the cops, she said. The building is yours. There's a trust, ironclad. You're the director. The center is safe. He held up his hands. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know that I failed you before, but I won't fail the kids. Emma stared at him. Why? Because you were right about everything. I was hiding. I was scared. And I let that fear make me hurt the only person who ever saw me clearly. He took a shaky breath. I'm not here as Alexander Chen, billionaire. I don't even know if I'm that person anymore. I walked away from my family's company. Victoria ended the engagement. I have no idea what my life looks like now, except that it's empty without you. You lied to me for months. I did, and I can't take that back. But I can tell you the truth now. Every moment with you was the first time I felt alive in 10 years. Every laugh, every conversation, every second. It was all real. You were real. We were real. Tears streamed down Emma's face. How do I trust you again? I don't know, Alexander admitted. Maybe you can't. Maybe I destroyed that. But if there's any chance, any possibility that you could let me try to earn it back, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that you weren't wrong about me, that the man you fell for is who I really am. Emma wiped her eyes. I can't just forget what happened. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to let me show you who I choose to be, now that I'm finally free to choose. He took a step closer. I love you, Emma Rodriguez, not because you're convenient or strategic or appropriate, because you make me want to be better, because you see the best in everyone, including me, because when I'm with you, I'm not performing or calculating or protecting myself. I'm just me. Emma was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. If we do this, it's on my terms. No more secrets, no more walls. You want to be with me, all the way. No half measures. All the way. Alexander promised. Whatever that takes. She crossed the space between them and took his hand. I'm still angry with you. You should be. And you're going to have to work really hard to rebuild what you broke. I will. Every day. And you're volunteering here. 3 nights a week minimum. Done. Emma managed a small smile. Those fancy suits of yours are going to get covered in paint. Good. I hate those suits anyway. She kissed him then, soft and tentative, like they were starting over. And maybe they were. 6 months later, Alexander stood in the community center, surrounded by kids working on their projects. He'd started a tech company focused on educational software, partnering with organizations like Emma's to provide resources to underserved communities. It was smaller than Chen Technologies, but it was his, built on his terms. Emma appeared at his side, sliding her hand into his. Ready to go? They had dinner plans with Victoria and her campaign manager boyfriend, who'd gone public with their relationship and weathered the storm together. Alexander's mother still wasn't speaking to him, but his younger sister had reached out, saying she admired his courage. Yeah, Alexander said, pulling Emma close. Let's go. As they walked out into the evening, Emma stopped him. Hey, you know what? What? You were worth the risk. Alexander smiled, the kind of real, unguarded smile he'd never shown anyone before Emma. So were you, the best risk I ever took. The center's lights glowed behind them, filled with kids and possibility and hope. Alexander had lost an empire, but gained something more valuable, a life that mattered, a love that was real, and the freedom to be exactly who he wanted to be. Sometimes the best thing you can do is fall for the person you were never supposed to love. Because maybe, just maybe, they're exactly who you were always meant to find. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button to never miss stories about love, courage, and second chances. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had to choose between duty and your heart? And don't forget to like this video if you believe in love that breaks all the rules. Your support helps us bring you more stories that matter. Until next time, remember, the greatest love stories are the ones we choose, not the ones chosen for us.